Something burning?
Thanks, nothing's on fire. I was in the middle of recording, thanks.
Onefootflipper.
Hi, Paige here, the 1 Foot Flipper. Today I thought we'd just do a good old-fashioned top 10 list. Top 10 most valuable VHS tapes for 2025. Now, I'm not going to do what other people do, and give you a list of 10 exact tapes that you're probably never going to find out in the wild, or, you know, those Cars 3 VHS. I don't think that exists. Your Disney Black Diamond, whatever. We're not going to talk about that. I'm going to instead do 10 categories. You might actually remember that. Might have a chance if we talk about categories. These are really in no particular order, so let's just start counting down. Number 10, Hollywood work prints, screeners, and dailies. These are various production VHS tape copies of movie rough cuts, of things that were filmed that day, partial edits. These were kicked around between the studio executives and the producers and everybody else back when everything on film was done analog, you know, before it's all digital like it is today. These things can go as high as thousands of dollars for a work print of a popular movie to basically worthless. The worthless ones are going to be those screeners that have full-on artwork. Those are just freebie tapes that were usually sent out to video stores and or people that they wanted to vote for them in the Oscars. Those are just too common to usually have any value unless it's a very popular movie that people might want variations on. What you're looking for here is the tapes with typed or handwritten labels, usually in those plain, generic plastic clamshells, brown, white, or black. Those are the ones. Number 9, big runs of anime series. Now, these are oftentimes going to have spine artwork that connects to make one big fancy picture, like in this photo here. And the reason these are valuable is that many anime series have lots of various releases over the years with different edits, different audio, different subtitles. A lot of the things they put in the Japanese market, they cut out for the American market once they get around to actually giving it full audio and everything. There's usually naughtier bits in the Japanese stuff, and some anime collectors just have to have every version of the thing, and some of those collections can look impressive on a shelf. So that's your number 9. Sold this supermarket sweep game for $11.68. This is actually a very new game and not a very old game. I would have thought this was old based on the title, but it's not. I don't remember where it came from. It is still sealed, or at least it has circle tape on it on each side, which same thing is sealed to me. NASCAR Thunder for the PlayStation 2 with memory card, sold for $6.66. I'm pretty sure the memory card is worth that alone. I don't know. Listed this cheapest on eBay 6 months ago. Took 6 months to sell. It marked 3% every month. Little box of ornaments from the Goodwill bins, $9.31. This weighs almost nothing. I would have had about 50 cents into it. And somebody specifically said that I had a very poor listing for this. And I was thinking to myself, I put in the effort on the listing for what the item was worth. And I did not change the listing after they insulted it, and it sold a week later, $9.31. Pokemon bookmarks, these are $2 for the pair. Normally I wouldn't list things for $2, but I have massive quantity on these, and I can't get them to sell at $3. So $2 it is, goes in the envelope. This Dragons book is a third-party book for Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons has a license where other companies can make material for their games. I actually wrote some back in the old days, back when I had 2 legs and was much younger. Anyway, this sold for $8. Quite a bit shy of its $26.95 MSRP. Although less than the $2 that I paid for it. And this is a stack of RPGA cards. Back about 15 years ago, Wizards of the Coast, the company who owns Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering, used to care about its players, and they would have a reward system to encourage people to go out and play in public events. So D&D players would get like these cards that they could throw out in the game to have effects. Magic players would get various shiny cards and everything. And they've stopped that completely. They said, nah, we realize we don't have to do anything to help our players whatsoever. In fact, we're just going to raise the prices on everything. And that's what they did. Your number 8, your 70s and 80s horror movies that you've never heard of. I'm not talking about Alien. I'm not talking about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. I'm talking about Bag of Crushed Child. Just something you have never heard of. And this is your most rock-solid VHS category. The more obscure the movie, the better. A lot of these movies never had a release other than VHS in the first place. A lot of them were direct-to-video, and they're unlikely to ever get another release due to licensing issues. There might have been legal problems with the original film themselves, such as unlicensed music, or in many cases, nobody knows who owns the right to the movie anymore. Thus, these can bring real money for collectors, and horror collectors are the genre collectors most likely to still own a functioning VCR. Top 10 most valuable VHS tapes is not an original topic by any means. It's been done by about a dozen different people in the space. Kevin's got a really popular one. Josh Graff has a really good one. The Auction Professor's got one, and there's like 10 more. But I made this one without watching any of those. So any similarities between mine and those are wholly coincidental. Your number 7. Your sealed big box early print movies. Your big box ones they're just wider. They've got like an extra bit of cardboard there. Those are the movies that were made before VHS was marketed to consumers directly. Now, big box tapes in general, even open, they're worth a little bit more usually than normal tapes, but your sealed big box VHS are extremely rare because tapes can cost over $100 back then. And that's like $100 in 1982 dollars. So that's like $250 for today. And video stores were not ordering those things and not opening them. And a sealed big box tape of a very popular movie can be worth several $1,000s. Or even if it's some movie that nobody cares about, it might still be $50. Okay, Shiley, it looks like you got a present from one of my followers. Why don't you take a look and see what's inside?
Oh, just for like my locker?
I think so.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. And a mirror. Oh, it has stickers on it. Some
Is that from one of your people?
paper.
Yes, thanks for talking in the middle of it, Mom.
Like a pen holder and
cute.
magnets. Thank you. This is really cool. I like it.
All right, thank you so much. Your number 6, your skateboarding and BMX and other type of stunt tapes. These tapes, they'll often have footage on them that just doesn't exist anywhere else. And a lot of them were extremely limited releases. And a lot of the skateboarding ones are going to feature all those people who later became big names in the 90s, you know, in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. And what's keeping a lot of these from re-release, other than all the unlicensed punk music in them and hip-hop in them, is that a lot of them were filmed directly onto VHS, and there's not high enough quality footage to release it in a better format or to stream it in modern formats, even if they wanted to. So that's another great category. Okay, I sold this 2004 Kelly. You might have seen I just recently got this, and might have been my very last video before this one, and she's already sold $13. Missouri Tigers hat sold for $15.52. I would have had 35 cents into this, being from the Goodwill bins. Super Racco, one of the few games that looks like this that actually sells, sold for $30 or $29.99 in less than a month. And I printed up the missing instructions from the internet and put that in the title. If the instructions were from the internet. Universal Studios Freestyle Unlimited Drink Refill Cup. Not sure if it's still good or not, but for $25. Easy Bake Oven from 1983, I believe, in the box. $24.25. It's missing the tray. This is not the version that uses the light bulb. This is the first version, I believe, that doesn't use the light bulb. Dragon Ball Super Crossworld playmat, $7.88. According to the custom SKU, I got this from Meta Bubbles, but he doesn't play Dragon Ball, but it might have come from one of his sons. That's probably what it really is. So, a little money will go on his spreadsheet. Not much, though, being how little it sold for. Emerson, Lake & Palmer, $3.53. The quality of my remaining records continues to go down as all the good stuff is sold, and I haven't restocked records in over a year. Number 5, wrestling. Wrestling fans collect wrestling stuff in general. And just like with the skateboarding and BMX, a lot of your wrestling tapes are going to contain matches or footage that doesn't exist in any other releases, and in some cases, licensing alone may keep this footage from ever hitting streaming services. Or in some cases, the footage might not exist outside of the VHS tapes themselves anymore. I don't know how good they were about keeping, some of those matches back in the old days, especially once you got outside the WWF and whoever, ECW and whoever the big boys were back in the 80s. All right, I sold this animated twerking reindeer that plays Baby Got Back. I had a video of this in the listing. I already had this, the cheapest on eBay, but Christmas was really close, so I put it at 30% off, and it sold while I was packing up the earlier orders in this video. $17.50. This is a Shock T acupressure mat. Spiky on one side and soft on the other. $58.20. I got that at the Goodwill outlet. Probably had about $3 into it, going by what it seems to weigh. A puzzle, Advanced Blazing with Color, $8.54. I hope I didn't buy this at the bins because this is heavy. But there was a period of time where I was buying puzzles at the bins, not really figuring out their weight versus cost ratio, which is why I rarely get puzzles at the bins anymore. Nunn & Bush brown loafers, size 14, $10.40. I think I paid $3 for these at a garage sale quite some time ago. A Hunter Cross Hunter anime poster, $5.82. I'll probably make a little bit on the shipping on this. Goodwill bins, this would have been about 20 cents investment. Avalon Hill Luftwaffe. It's a bookshelf game. This could have come in any of multiple collections I bought. This only sold for $6.35 because it's actually a very popular game, thus it had a very high production run, and most people who collect these bookshelf games already have a copy of this. And it's not exactly the best aerial combat game in the world, so it's not going to be raised in price for that reason, so it's really only collectors buying those. All right, number 4. I don't know why, but Thomas the Tank Engine. Nearly every Thomas the Tank Engine VHS tape is sellable. Some of them are worth several $100s for some reason. I don't know, it's because people who tend to be obsessive tend to like trains. I'm not really sure. And the good part about these is they're often found in big lots, so it's not a case of you selling one tape for $10. It's a case of you selling 10 tapes for $100. So, get Thomas. Right, I sold this imperfect Klingon bird of prey from Star Trek Generations. Remember, that's the one... No, that's not the one where they went back and saw the whale. This is the bad one. Anyway, sold for $15.52. Notice you don't see a lot of Star Trek toys, do you? Sold this Minecraft zombie, large size, $4.39. Prices and interest in Minecraft toys seem to be falling off rapidly this year. I thought that fad may soon be over, so I wouldn't price Minecraft stuff up right now if I were you. Alright, viewer Jackie. Alright, viewer Jackie helped me clean out some of my extra space, purchasing 6 items total for $24.68, and she took advantage of the fact that most of my very light items will combine shipping with each other at only $1 extra each per item. Even the records combine with the things that aren't records, which is weird. I shouldn't have set it up that way, but they do. Disco, Volume 2. Oh, sorry. Neil Diamond Taproot. That's actually the Disco Volume 2. And we got Neil Diamond Beautiful Noise, as well as an orange Tupperware shaker cup, a Harry Potter shirt in a plastic bag so it doesn't get dog hair on it, and a frozen Disney thermos. Thanks so much, Jackie. All right, I think that's actually all the sales I got for today, unless more come in while I pack these. All right, now we're getting down to the last three. And I know you've been waiting for it. You've been thinking, Paige, where's the Disney at? Black Diamonds. It's the Black Diamonds, isn't it? Matter of fact, our top three are all going to be Disney, but it's not going to be individual tapes. Now, some individual Disney tapes are valuable due to rarity or distribution issues, or due to them being racist and thus canceled these days. But we're going to look at some categories here. Number 3, going on the list, Disney DVS tapes. Descriptive video services, or it might be descriptive video system. These are the actual rarest Disney tapes out there. These tapes have a soundtrack that describes what is happening on the screen in addition to the dialogue. They're often called Braille tapes. They were designed for the blind and the visually impaired, and they're wicked, wicked rare. There have only been 4 of them on eBay in the last 3 years. 2 of them sold at reasonable prices, I think between $50 and $100, and the other 2 are sitting up there at $500 and $600 where nobody will ever pay for them. You find one, price it somewhere in the middle. You know it's not going to sell for $5. All right, number 2, Disney DTV tapes. DTV means Disney TV. I think these all came from the 80s. These are tapes of Disney characters performing along to various real recordings of various pop songs and songs from other genres. And these on the low end are about $10, and on the high end are several hundred. And these are all unlikely to ever be re-released again due to licensing issues. There's just no way you're going to get Stevie Wonder and Madonna and Styx and 17 other groups to all license this music out to Disney again to put it onto Disney Plus, and Disney wouldn't pay for it even if they would. And your final category of VHS tapes is Arabic Disney tapes. I don't know if Arabic Disney tapes are licensed or not. If you know that, tell me down in the comments. But in any case, they sell for real money every single time they come up. Think about, they're $100 each. Just figure that. They might be more, might be a little bit less. But it just seems to be the Arabic ones. Forget about your Japanese or any common European languages. When it comes to Disney, those are largely too common. Maybe if you got something in Bantu or something like that, that might be something. But French, Spanish, German, there's just too many of them. All right. If you know anybody with a large stock of Arabic Disney tapes, why don't you tell them about this channel? Thanks, and I hope to see you again soon.
See, that's One Foot Flipper's nonsense video.
25 years ago, they spotted it. 15 years ago, they plotted it. And 5 years ago, they tried to stop it. But the nukes weren't enough. And there was no time or technology to try anything else. 2 years ago, the spot in the Urals where the asteroid 17045-2003 AF was going to hit was narrowed to 100 meters square, and the evacuation began. Now humanity huddling far below the horizons around me as the red glow slowly grows. We're a few minutes away from almost total annihilation. The hammer of God is coming. Now, I have known I wanted to come here the minute I heard the nuclear missiles had failed to divert the rock sufficiently from its course. I knew I wanted to take a shot. The 1 in a billion shot. I used to play professionally, 3A, after all, and I know that humanity, except for a lucky 12,000, is going to be extinct after whatever happens. I have no close friends, no family. I have nothing to lose. I turn my eyes away from the bitter wind and stare upwards. I'm hoping that nobody knows I'm here. I wouldn't want anyone to be pinning their hopes on me. Because honestly, I have no idea what will happen next. All of humanity is going to be annihilated today. I'm just going to be the first, unless there's a miracle. The redness high above me is a growing, glowing glare now, occupying more of the sky than anything I've ever seen. I'm not used to this angle. I can see distant cloud formations being torn apart as it descends, cutting a swath over the pole directly towards this mountaintop. Size, we've all known since 2003 that it had half the diameter of the moon. But I never realized how small I had mentally interpreted that up until now. And I see it, filling an entire hemisphere of my consciousness with hellish orange flame. It's not a thing in the sky anymore. The sky itself is on fire. And it's falling. Nothing that big should be airborne. And in a minute, it won't be. The wind is starting to pick up. It's getting warmer. I can't make this hit. There's still 10 seconds until it reaches me. Gravity is getting ever slightly so weaker. I'm going to be toast before it even gets close. This was an insane idea. Only God himself could make this hit. This is it. This is the end of the world. I'm no savior. I'm just a nut with a baseball bat. I close my eyes against the howling wind and whipping dust. I attempt to block my ears against the ascending roar and brace my feet in the slippery mud and melting snow. I keep my stance. I count down the last few seconds from my wristwatch and swing blindly. The bat connects.